Good morning, gang, and welcome to the Aired Out podcast from Fly on the Wall Productions, live on Facebook and YouTube. We're streamed everywhere you get your podcasts, and of course on the web at airedoutVT.com. Woodland Studios is putting together a new Facebook site for us. Website for us, and I am just so excited about it. I just cannot wait. I've seen this thing coming together over the last couple of weeks, and I'm just beyond excited about it. It's going to be coming soon. I will let you know when we give it the big heave-ho, the big launch. Rick Rumman on the birthday list today. Heather Osterberg, happy birthday. Logan Clark, Christy Pearson, and Rosie Emmons, all celebrating birthdays today. What a weekend. Maple Open House weekend across the Green Mountain State. It was a busy one. The weather was pretty much perfect for it. The Battle and Berry 16 on Saturday night at the Berry Auditorium took me a better part of the day yesterday to kind of get actually, I'm doing quite well. I've been drinking a lot of tea to get the voice back from screaming like a little girl at that Battle and Berry 16 on Saturday night. It was unbelievable. Rex is going to be in Friday, and he's going to recap it and tell you all about what you missed if you weren't there, and if you were there, maybe some of the things that you may have missed. But it was just amazing. So much fun. Our speaker series last night, we do it once a month here at Fly on the Wall Productions. The Aired Out podcast brings it to your eyes and your ears. Kristen Williams last night, amazing. I mean, what she was saying, I have to go back and re-listen and take some notes. It was that good last night. Weather. Well, here's what we have. We have kind of a dodgy morning, depending on where you are. Little spring snow. The further south you go, like Windham County-ish, and points south is where it's the potential for some freezing stuff to mix in, whether it be freezing rain or sleet with the snow, but not much today. But certainly just enough to make it slick. So hopefully you haven't put on your summer tires yet. It was a year ago this past weekend that we had over a foot of snow. So little dusting, no complaints now. Off and on snow showers. Again, 37 for the daytime high today. Tonight, 31, still some snow showers, some breaks in it, and then they'll come back. And then tomorrow, a cloudy one, 43. Rain and snow showers on Wednesday, and 42 degrees looking ahead. John Biondolillo is sitting right here next to me this morning. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Good morning, JD. I'm great, thank you. You?
I'm happy to see you, buddy. I really am. I was thinking about you this morning as I was driving in, and I'm like, here's a guy that you do so much, buddy. You're passionate about kids. You've coached stuff. You've just been all through our community. I'm wondering, do you still have I'm assuming that you do, still have your pilot's license?
I do, yeah.
You do. Might you take hold of this fat old fella and we'll run up and take a buzz around Camel's Hump one of these days?
Well, I don't know about me doing
What do I
that.
have to do?
We could probably make that happen for you, JD.
Is there room in there for me?
Yeah.
Now, when are you going to be flying again?
When?
Notice I didn't say.
I went.
Will you?
I went up with Bill Koch in his plane just the other day.
Okay.
It was beautiful. I think it was last Sunday.
Wow, where'd you go?
We just flew up to like Morrisville and over Mount Mansfield and that type of thing. It was good.
Are you going to be getting another plane? Is it in the cards?
I don't know. It's too hard to say.
Okay. But you're going to maintain the license, though.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
So there's hope.
Yeah, I'm busy, though. I don't have that much time to fly.
Yeah, I know. What are you doing these days? Tell us about everything that you're up to.
Well, I've been traveling a lot. I just got back. I spent a week with my mom in Florida.
Yep.
She just turned 88. So
wow.
Yeah, since COVID, she hasn't really gotten a chance to really go south. So last year, Marcia and I took her out to Palm Springs for a week, and this year she went to Florida with me for a week, and it was good. So done that, doing things with my kids. I was in Washington, D.C. with my daughter, had a law competition down there, and been to New York for some of my son's openings. I didn't get to go to his London opening of White Rose because that's the week I was in Florida with my mom. But so keep me busy.
Show a picture of that on the screen right now. There he is with the team. That's really impressive what he's doing, man. Look at this.
It is. I mean, he's got one Tony Award, and knock on wood, hopefully get another one this year for our town.
Yeah, and that was in New York City.
New York City. Jim Parsons was the lead in it. Did a great job. And Zoe Deutsch was in it, and Richard Thomas, for those of us old enough to remember the Waltons.
I don't remember the Waltons.
Yeah, okay, sure.
Waltons what? Yeah, that's really cool, man. And look at this. Did he and he's been to London before. He's done some stuff in London.
Mm-hmm.
Does he love it there?
I think he likes to travel. He loves New York City.
Yeah.
I'm good for a couple days in New York, and then I'm ready to get back to Vermont.
Sure.
But he when everybody was coming up here during COVID and prices were depressed down there, he bought a condo. So he's right in Midtown, so he loves it.
Wow. And how old is he?
Just turned 29.
Good for him, man. Wow. What about Tori? See, you were saying she was in for the DC Cup.
DC Cup is
what is that?
What they call a moot court. So basically, they argue a fictitious case, and it's a competition among the 6 Washington D.C. area law schools. And her school, Catholic University Law School, had never won it before until this year. So I flew down there and watched her argue the case. It was in the historic U.S. Court of Appeals building, right like stone's throw from the White House practically. And it was fun. The Court of Appeals is not a jury situation. It's 3 judges, and they don't know. The judges are random. The judges don't know which school the kids are from, to keep it totally unbiased. And they present their case. They write briefs. They present their case. The judges ask them tough questions, which
it's all fictitious.
Really well. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they try and pick a case that hasn't been heard in D.C. before. So this particular case was about a.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, what was it about?
It was about a broken engagement and whether the woman had to return the ring to the man.
Ooh.
So it's kind of interesting because they had to. I mean, you think, kind of a fluffy case, but really wasn't, because they had to. There is no precedent in D.C., so they had to look at other jurisdictions, and.
We're not playing around here, though. This is actually really serious stuff. Like they've got to argue this case like it's.
And they
the
were
real
asking
deal.
them tough questions. I mean, there was a similar case in Massachusetts, and the one judge was asking point blank questions about it, and another case, someone cited a case, and what year was that? And 1974. It's like she knew. Wow. It was amazing. So,
really?
Yeah. But it was fun, and they totally random which side they got to argue. The woman's argument was more challenging. Tori actually had wanted that side, but the draw they got was the men's side. So she had some interesting arguments for the other side, but we'll never know.
That she was all prepared to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they have to be, because they don't know which side they're going to get.
So Tori was arguing the man side of it.
Yeah.
And won.
and won. Yep. So she basically proved that they didn't get married, so she hadn't fulfilled the contract, and it didn't matter the reasons.
That's really cool, though. Was there like a crowd in there? Was this open to the public?
Well,
was
the
it
courthouse
televised?
isn't that big, but it was full. I'm sure it was mostly family members and other, faculty members and stuff like that. But yeah,
How many schools were there?
6.
6.
But the dreaded Georgetown team went out in the first round, so they've won it many times. So
Really?
yeah.
So Catholic got it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Damn. So what does she want to do with her career? What kind of lawyer does she want to be?
Well, she likes constitutional law.
Okay.
So I bet she can do a lot of things with that degree. I mean, of course, with her background working for the governor here in Vermont,
Yeah.
she could be into politics. She could do public policy, which is really what kind of started her down the path when she was senior staff for the governor. She was frustrated by the laws that some of the legislators would come up with, but they really didn't have much of a legal staff to help them.
Mm.
So she really got interested in how laws are written and how they're interpreted and unintended consequences and things like that.
Does Tori want to practice here in Vermont? Do you know?
Well, that remains to be seen, but I would say that she really loves DC, and I'd be surprised if she came back here.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I've heard that once you get down there, you get bitten by that bug. You love it.
Yeah, Washington's fabulous. I like it down there too.
Never been. We're hoping to go though. We want to take Lily down and show her the Capitol and all that. Boy, we got a lot of people tuned in this morning. Good morning, everyone. Yes, it is a Monday, the 24th. John Biondolillo is my guest this morning from BCK Real Estate, right here on North Main Street. Been a presenting sponsor for a long time now. I don't know. I've lost track. And of course, I want to ask you about real estate. But so Tori doesn't want to do real estate law?
No, actually, no, I don't think she does.
Have you ever kind of steered your kids in a certain direction and then gave them a little nudge, or have you backed off, you and Marcia, backed off and just said, we're going to let them take any road they want to take?
Well, I would say steering doesn't work. Otherwise, I'd have 2 really good golfers.
Wow.
No, I mean, we've always supported them. We've always given them opportunities. We've always traveled extensively with them to broaden their horizons. But we've always supported whatever they wanted. Like, it just killed me that my daughter didn't want to play basketball. She played a couple years, but she was tall and athletic, but she just was passionate about gymnastics. And she and I went all over the country doing gymnastics for a number of years until she grew 6 inches one summer, and that was kind of the end of that. But so, and Sam, I mean, really, the guidance counselor told him not to even apply to Boston College. He got in.
Yes.
He ended up dropping his math major and being just a theater major, which is supposed to be a second major for him. And
Yep.
And Marcia and I are kind of like, oh, gee, I mean, really, we're spending all that money, and he's going to have a theater degree, and really, what's he going to be able to do with that? But yet, he's proven us quite wrong.
Yeah, he is. He's really, really done some great. I mean, God, he's not even. What is he? 30 now?
29.
Still 29.
I know. He won that Tony when he was 26 or 27, and he said, "Well, 28." And he said, "Well, my goal was to win it by 26, but COVID messed me up. I lost 2 years."
Wow. And how old is Tori?
Tori's 26.
Wow. You got some really successful kids already. And I said that last time, that they were in here in the
Berry
studio.
City Elementary and Spalding High. Say what you want.
Yeah.
But,
Wow.
The opportunity's there if you take it.
It's all about drive, ambition, motivation, dedication, staying in the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. It's not easy. We see people that get on a good road and they're cruising along, and something happens in life and they jump ship. You kids haven't done that.
No, and I mean, and there's, certain amount of luck involved, but I mean, it really takes. It's the kid, it's the parents, it's the school and who they associate with, and our kids have been fortunate and they're on a good path.
I want to ask you about any stories or experiences you have with Arnold Palmer.
Arnold Palmer, yeah, I've had a few.
Like what?
Well, I was captain of the golf team at the University of Rochester, and in 1984 they played the U.S. Senior Open in Rochester at Oak Hill, and that was our home course. And one of the members who was good friends with Arnold came up to me on it's like the Thursday before Father's Day. He's like, "What are you doing on Sunday? Do you want a caddy for Arnold Palmer?" Like, oh, well, let me check my calendar. So so I got the caddy for Arnold Palmer practice round before the U.S. Senior Open, and it was amazing because nobody really knew he was coming. So when he got there was hardly anybody there, and he's warming up, and he's got this huge tour bag. And he had 26 clubs. I'm not exaggerating. There were 26 clubs in it because he was quite a tinkerer with golf clubs. And so there's like 2 or 3 putters and a bunch of wedges. And the thing weighed a ton. And Arnold says to Bob, the guy that invited, he said, "Oh, well, let me put a few of these clubs in your locker." And Bob's like, "Oh, no, he can carry it." But I was so excited. I had so much adrenaline that I could. But what a great guy. He autographed the scorecard for me and gave me $100, which was a lot of money in those days. My only regret is that I didn't save the $100 bill, but I needed it. So,
Wow, that's so cool, man. And so you're a former All-Star, American All-Star, NCAA.
All-American, yeah.
Damn.
See why now you know I'm disappointed I don't have any golfers.
So Sam doesn't. How's
Sam plays. I mean, he doesn't play very
do
often. I mean, he'll pick up a club and hasn't picked up a club in 2 years and go out and hit the ball further than me down the fairway. But and my daughter is starting to pick it up and play. She's pretty athletic. I mean, when she was 10 years old, she could hit a 3-iron with a high draw. 175 yards.
Wow. Is there an experience other than caddying for Arnold Palmer that you remember, a tournament or anything that stands out in your mind as a great memory?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of good ones. I mean, I won a fair number of tournaments in college. I broke my mother's heart. I skipped my college graduation to play in the Northeast Championships. Yeah, I still haven't lived it down. I still hear about it to this day. But I won the tournament. So
you won the tournament.
I consider that vindication. My mother does not. But yeah.
So no regrets.
No.
Wow.
No regrets.
Wow. That's pretty cool to hear that, man.
Yeah.
Wow. So mom's 88 and she's still hammering you on that.
Yep.
Did she ground you? Did she say, "That's it. If you're not going to your college graduation, go to your room"?
No, but her disappointment was duly noted.
Yeah. Yeah. So at what point did you get into real estate? What was the driving force behind?
Well, after graduating from college, I really wanted to try the pro tour, but in those days you had to go to each tournament and on Mondays and play a qualifier and try and get in. They didn't have a qualifying school like they do now. And my father was like, go get a job. So I did. So I got into banking, and that was really after a couple of years, and I was in the credit department and worked my way up. I ended up being in commercial real estate, and so that was my first. All throughout the banking career, I was involved in real estate, and then when everything went crazy at the late '80s. The economy was terrible.
Yeah.
That's when I really started actually selling real estate for the banks, like everything from houses to apartment complexes and hotels and you name it.
What was 2008 like for you?
I wouldn't want to go back there. I mean, it was awful. I mean, 2007, like in September, the market just fell off the table. I mean, 2007 was a great year. I think I sold 101 or 103 properties that year, but it just fell off the table. And it's funny because Marcia predicted it, and I'm like, well, there's no money in our trust account. There's hardly any money in our trust account. And I'm like, well, that doesn't mean anything, because sometimes you have big deposits and small deposits. No, I've never seen it like this. I'm like, yeah. And of course, in a normal market in Vermont in the wintertime, you don't really know what's going to happen because it slows down anyway. So it's kind of like, I always likened it to the old NASA mission when they come back from the moon. You'd have the 6 minutes of blackout, and that's kind of like winter in Vermont in the real estate market. You don't know how it's going to be until they break out in the spring. But she said, "Oh no, this is bad. It's different," and she was right. And the worst part was 8 and 9 were especially bad because there was a disconnect between the buyers and the sellers. The sellers still had the 2006 prices in their head, and the buyers had already adjusted, and they were, so there was, even though there were a lot of listings, the buyers weren't biting on it, and so stuff just sat. So I made a conscious decision that I was going to take on 4 times as many listings as I normally do, because that's what I needed to maintain our sales at the pace I wanted. That was a lot of work.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Well, especially when stuff's not selling, because you're having all those conversations with sellers every week about what you're doing and why their property isn't sold, and they don't want to hear they need to improve the price. And, so no, I wouldn't want to go back. And here in Vermont, I mean, it was 2008, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 was probably when it started to get better. So it was like, 7 years of hell.
And then what, a good 4 or 5 years before COVID?
Started ramping up before COVID, but it was, it was still pretty balanced, but it was on an upward trend, especially for sellers. And COVID was crazy.
What about now? What about right now? And how does this compare to the hardships of 08? And when I say now, I mean, I think most of us know, and you and I have had this conversation, that the national news on the real estate market is pretty grim. But
it's not, though.
But here in Vermont,
it's not. That's the problem, is that the way the way they present it, U.S. home sales are down 45%. Well, so, oh my gosh, that must mean the real estate market's terrible. No, that means we don't have any listings to sell. So it's not like car sales where they have a bunch of cars to sell and they're not selling. It's like we don't have the product to sell. But the market's changed, I would say, in the last 6 months. It's still a seller's market for sure, because there's like, I looked this morning, there's like 10 listings in Barry Town and 9 in Barry City on the market, which is more than we had last year. But what you've got is some listings are overpriced, and the sellers are learning that the buyers are getting more discerning. The prices are stable. I mean, honestly, it's been a long time since I've seen this many opportunities for both buyers and sellers in the same market, because the prices are stable. So as a seller, you can sell with confidence, and you know you're not leaving any money on the table. Like, during COVID and the year, prices were going up and up and up and up and up, and everyone was, afraid to sell because, it might be worth more in 6 months.
Bingo. Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, how much longer are people going to be hanging on here? I mean, I'm sure, you really should. Somebody ought to get you, maybe if I can find one, I'm going to get it for you. Just a big, giant crystal ball for your desk.
So,
Would that look nice, though?
Oh, it'd be great.
Look beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you can say, hang on, ladies, let me just check. It's right here.
Yeah. So, but interest rates have come down some. There's still, we have a whole generation of people that think rates are high because they haven't lived through what some of the rest of us have. A 30-year mortgage rate this morning's at 6.25%, which is a far cry from when they were up at 7.25% or 7.5%. So I think there's opportunities for buyers that can stretch and buy as much house as they can, because these rates are temporary. They say, it's the saying in real estate, marry the house and date the rate. So, you get into a house at a higher rate now, and I think, without getting into all the politics of the swamp in Washington, I think, clearly the federal government's headed in the direction of trying to lower interest rates. I mean, and it makes sense as a taxpayer, because I think every 0.1% in interest is like $100 trillion on the U.S. debt. We have a lot of debt, so it's in everybody's best interest for rates to come down. But I think what's going to happen, if you see mortgage rates get back to, 4.5 again, I think that's going to cause prices of houses to go up again, because it's going to put more buyers back into the market. Right now, a lot of buyers got knocked out of the market. It's created tremendous upward pressure on rental prices. It's hard to find a good rental these days for, less than $2,000.
John Biondolillo is our guest this morning from BCK Real Estate, right here on North Main Street in Barrie, presenting sponsor of the Aired Out podcast. I wanted to ask you about rentals. Do you guys have rentals that you have available for the public?
We have one 60-unit complex in Waterbury that we manage. We have a waiting list. I mean, people will call or they'll send us an email and say, "Oh, I need an apartment next month," and we kind of laugh. I mean, it's literally, it can be 3 or 4 months before we even have an opening to get in those apartments. We haven't done anything here in Barrie in a number of years, but the Waterbury one keeps us busy.
What about commercial real estate?
Do a lot of commercial, and actually, there's some interesting businesses on the market right now. I don't really want to get into a lot of the details because, if you say a business is for sale, then
Sure.
people like all the rumors start and everything.
Oh,
it
yeah.
really could just be the owner retiring or simplifying his life or whatever. But I have some really interesting business opportunities right now in Central Vermont.
Okay. You guys also know how to do a nice audit of a commercial building and say, look, that's wonderful. You've moved out. You've got your property for sale here, but we need to tighten this up. We need to make this more efficient before we put it on the market. And that's impressive. You don't just take a vacant property and throw a for sale sign on it.
No,
That's pretty cool.
no, yeah.
And there's technology involved with that too. I guess the state comes in and they know what they're doing. They get their radar guns there and do the heat detection and stuff like that. Which is, you got to have. I mean, people want properties that are tight, especially up here in the North Country.
Mm-hmm.
If it's commercial or if it's residential, doesn't matter. They want something that's going to be able to take some wind and some weather.
Right.
Yeah. Let's talk about you as dad and community member. You have worked with youth a lot for the last however many decades. Tell me about what you've done. You've been a coach.
Oh, yeah. I've coached basketball. I've coached soccer, both boys and girls. I've actually done some golf coaching as well. So
High school level stuff.
Yeah, in basketball, both boys and girls. And
What schools?
Well, I was helped out with the Spalding team when Sam was on it.
Okay.
Basketball, I did BYSA. I did baseball too. I forgot about that. BYSA. BYSA soccer.
You seem like the type of person that just has you're a calm personality guy. You don't seem like you're you seem like you're the epitome of grace under pressure. I can't see John Biondolillo out there going, "Come on, run faster."
I don't know. I mean, I'm glad.
What are you doing?
Glad you think I'm calm, because a lot of people say I'm not. I do really get into the sports, and I get into. I'm passionate about everything that I do. I will tell you, I learned. There are some real differences between coaching boys and coaching girls. Boys are more motivated by you getting worked up and yelling. The girls, by and large, will shut down. It's not a good method for them. So I had the privilege of coaching my daughter, who was a really good soccer player, and I think we lost one game out of like 30. And the one game we lost, the other coaches had finally figured out that they literally just needed to put 4 players on Tori and just let the other players play, and they did. And I did not have a plan for that, and they shut her down. I think she only scored 1 or 2 goals with 4 players on her, and we lost the game. And as you know, we're getting deep into the third quarter, and I'm starting to get agitated and yelling, and it actually was Sam was like with me. He's like, Dad, these girls aren't responding. Like, you need to calm down. Like, you're making them nervous.
So you didn't punch a wall though.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No. But you know, all the wins, and there were a lot of them in basketball, and that one loss is the one that sticks with me that I always think about.
That's something else.
And you know, in basketball, on Sam's team, they're 3rd and 4th graders. They're 16-0, and of course, I thought that I was just like the greatest coach of all time. And then you fast forward, and 4 of the 5 starters on the Spalding High School team were on that 3rd and 4th grade team. So I wasn't that good, but the players were.
Wow. Do you still do any of this today? Are you still involved with youth in any capacity in our community?
I'm not at the moment. I've really toyed with getting back into the coaching, and you know, especially like if I'll drive by, well, when the street was open to cut through to Orange Street, I'd drive by Spalding High and I'd see the lights on, they'd be playing, and I'd just get that itch to really want to get involved. And I get nostalgic if we go to Rutland and I drive past the field there, because that was the one game where Tori actually played goalie. So I always think of that situation there. So I do miss it. I mean, I've certainly had my hands full the last few years with the business and Marcia's health issues and all that, but I could see myself getting back into it.
You just said it. So now, expected an email or two today. But that's something that you genuinely love to do.
Yeah, it's because they're kids, and you can really shape their lives. And I mean, one of the basketball players I had, he works here locally, and I see him a lot of mornings, and it's just kind of cool.
Yeah. You have you've put some miles under your belt in your life. You've traveled some with Marcia. Tell me about some of the places that you have visited in the world.
I've traveled a lot. I've been fortunate to do that. I mean, last year when we thought everything was fine with her health, we made a decision we were going to travel every month, and we went to California with my mom. We went to Miami with the kids for New Year's.
Yeah.
We went to the Kentucky Derby, which was
Dude,
it was so much fun. I would have gone again. I mean, Marcia had a ball. All the women, their dresses and big hats, and I'd never been to a racetrack, horse racing track ever.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
That's a whole different planet.
It was really cool. And then from there, we drove to Chicago. We went to Miranda Lozan's wedding in Chicago. No, we did some great great trips, especially that last year. But we went with my in-laws and the kids at Christmas. We went to Europe one year. It was a rip. I mean, it was like, 17 cities in 14 days. We went all, we were in Paris and London and all over the place. And it was great because at that stage of their lives, they were learning about the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. And so, they got to see the Colosseum, and we went all, it was an amazing trip. It was not restful at all. I mean, the first day we had to get up at 4:30 and be in the lobby to get on the bus. And like, what are we doing? But they loved it. They still remember that trip.
Of all of these places where you have visited, I've got to ask you, I'm getting another question here in my mind. Which one had the best food? Where was it where you were like, if I could go back for 2 or 3 days and just eat, where would it be?
Italy.
Really?
Yeah, no question.
Oh, Biondolillo. I mean, that's...
Yeah, I'm biased, but no, the food there is amazing. That and the Disney cruise. We took the kids on a Disney cruise, and they were little. I mean, I was amazed. There were a lot of adults that didn't have kids that were on the Disney cruise because the service was so good and the food was so good. But yeah,
wow, that's cool. Has there been? My next question is there a city where, or anywhere, or a country that you have visited where you have said to yourself, if there was a day that I was not living in Vermont, I could see myself right here?
Well, I would never move out of the country because I love the United States, but and for all the problems and challenges we have, there's really no place better than here. I could see myself at some point having a house in Washington, D.C. area, Virginia, being close to my daughter. I've never lived in New York. Sorry, Sam, but I wouldn't. New York City.
Yeah.
So I could see that. I'm not really a Florida person. I mean, it's nice for a short time, but I wouldn't want to own a house there.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, Vermont's pretty darn nice most of the year. I mean, I don't love the winter weather anymore, which I always used to laugh at people my age when I was younger that would talk about how they can't handle it anymore. And I get it. I get it now.
Yes. I get it too. Yeah. Especially days like this, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, welcome to spring, right?
Come on. Come on. Tell me about some of these properties that you you
There aren't
have.
many to tell you about. I mean, we had quite a weekend, quite a day yesterday. Actually, we got we had a property for 610,000 in Marshfield, and went under contract this weekend, like in like a day,
Really?
which was amazing. I've got a property up on Country Club Road, 4,000 square feet, 7.5 acres, 675. That's available. We've got a house on Courier Street, which I think you posted on your website. I love the comments. It's a 3-bedroom, 329.
That's a beautiful little house. Really?
Oh, it's cute as a button.
Yeah.
And that neighborhood is, I just love the comments from the people on your posts about how they love the neighborhood. And my friend Scott Martin, who used to live there, and he's like, "Oh, it was a great neighborhood. I miss that neighborhood." And it was fun to see those comments. And it's it's Courier Street's right off of Tremont for those of you who don't know, and it's a great neighborhood.
I love that neighborhood up there. Quiet too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else?
What else have I got that's available for sale? We had one in Orange on Strong Road, which had school choice, that went under contract yesterday, so I don't have that anymore. That was 500,000, 4 bedrooms. I've got one coming in Berlin soon, so that'll be interesting. Probably be in the 5 somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
We're back to a more traditional market where it slows down in the winter. So you'll start seeing stuff April, May. You'll start seeing a lot more stuff come on the market. So stay tuned.
And I know you've said in the past, don't let winter deter you from wanting to sell your property.
Still true.
It's actually a very good time to sell because you're going to get more eyes.
Unless you live on a dirt road.
Yeah, this is true.
Stick in mud season, that can be a challenge. But
but as long as you've got some photos of what your house looks like on a beautiful summer day with that green grass and the blue sky, you're good.
Well, yeah, and funny, I prefer seasonally appropriate photos, just from a marketing standpoint, because even if I have a beautiful summer photo, if you're looking at it now and you see that summer photo, your first thought's going to be, "Oh, that house must have been on the market for 9 months."
Interesting.
So if I have a summer photo of this time of year, I'll put it in the MLS, but it'll be toward the end.
Interesting. What say you about Vermont's housing issues? Is it and I know that you're watching, you're listening, you're paying attention to what's being said under the Golden Dome here in our state. And I think the last time you were in here, you were like, well, listen, it's not just Vermont that's got a housing crisis. I think you even said it's the whole country, but it's all the New England states. It's not just a Vermont problem. But what say you about our housing issues? Is it a crisis?
They've been calling it a crisis for as long as I can remember. It is a crisis, but I think we've used that word. Politicians have used that word for at least 30 years, and so people are a little bit numb to it. The challenge we have is, everybody deserves to have a nice home or apartment. That we all deserve that. Everyone deserves that. The challenge is that a lot of times a knee-jerk reaction is to have subsidized or low-income housing, which we do need, but that can't be our only housing stock, because you can't build an economy based on that. You need to have houses for workers, which we don't have. We used to have an office in Stowe, and the resort there would try and hire people and stuff, but none of the workers could afford to live in Stowe. they'd have to go further afield to try and find a place to live, or even an apartment was challenging. So we need more middle income houses for working class people. Yeah. That's what we need. And the costs are so expensive to build. We really need to have the developers and builders need to have help with the infrastructure costs, because it costs so much to build a road and put in water and sewer that, Berry City's got all these old city lots that people don't even realize are city lots that are drawn up in a map years ago, but there's no roads to them, or they're just dirt. And if we could ever develop those, it would take, money, which I'm sure that, the Scott administration would help us with, but we have to have the will of, local politicians to want to do it, to build that infrastructure and then create opportunities for people to build houses. And, I don't know what's going to happen with all this tariff stuff. It's, we rely on Canada for a lot of lumber. I don't think it's going to be a long-term thing, but what do I know? So that's just going to make building more expensive in the short run, certainly. So, it never gets any cheaper. So we've got to bite the bullet and deal with putting in some of this infrastructure so we can build more houses. And Berry City's got a lot of capacity because they have these small lots that really what people want now. Easy to maintain, not expensive to acquire. That's a real advantage Berry City has, and these lots have just been sitting there doing nothing for years.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but
great.
But I just have to ask, do you have, and if you don't want to comment, that's fine. Do you have an opinion about the J.J. Newberry building? If you'd rather not say, that's fine too.
No, I don't know how I feel about it, honestly. I think that it's been a blight on the city for years. I think the city does need to deal with it. In the long run, it's going to be a good thing for us to end up with it. It galls me to enrich the pockets of the owners of that building because they really haven't been good citizens. They just haven't been. But I don't think we should cut off our nose to spite our face. That building, I think it's a good thing that it's acquired, and even in the short term, if it's just torn down and we add parking, I think that's an improvement. So, yes. Stay tuned. But so it's a tough one because you've got to kind of bite your tongue and look past, rewarding these owners that were terrible corporate citizens. But in the long run, it's in the best interest of Berry City to deal with it.
Yeah. Even, they were saying, best case, Nicholas Storelli Castro, our city manager, was in here, and Steve McKenzie was in here. Mm-hmm. Both saying best case scenario is that it would be a green space for a couple of years until we get it figured out what's going to go in there. But there were hopes for retail and residential living, both.
Yeah, it would make sense to have, some we could use good apartments, some building with an elevator. There's a lot of people that want one level living that don't want to maintain a house. That if you had an elevator, they could live there. It'd be great, and that would open up some of the housing stock for other working people.
Yeah,
elderly people could sell their homes. They're not ready to go in a nursing home yet. They can still take care of themselves, but they want something simple, something they can, close the lights and lock the door and go to Florida for 3 months and not worry about.
I get a lot of comments here on Aired Out of what also makes sense is that before we start putting the cart before the horse, we need to really get control of, from a preventative standpoint, to make sure that our city isn't going to suffer from another flood that we had 2 in 1 year's time on the very day.
Remember it well.
Yeah, and maybe not to prevent. I mean, we can't control Mother Nature, but we can maybe make some real efforts to make sure that our city isn't going to flood as badly as it did. If we're going to start talking,
Yeah, we
putting
do
residential
need to do
stuff
that.
in here.
And it's a battle for what we need. I mean, years ago they used to do work on the rivers to keep the capacity.
You remember that,
of course, and they did it everywhere. But now it's like, we just have to let nature take its course. Well, nature's taking its course, and it's put 7 feet of water in the basement of my building down the street here. I mean,
wow.
I don't know what we're protecting, but I had fish in my basement. So, and the sump pump, they're flapping around in my parking lot because the sump pump's sucking them up, sending them outside. So are we protecting fish? I don't know. I know it's a complicated thing and I'm oversimplifying it, but the rivers need to have more capacity, and there's a way to do that, but it's going to require the political will to do it.
And there's talk, and I know you've heard it, of altering infrastructure, raising bridges. I don't know. I mean, listen, I have oversimplified this on the air, I'm sure, countless times as well, and I know it's a complicated thing. But man, if we're going to be protecting North Main Street, if we're going to be protecting some of the commercial properties that are already in existence and new business that needs to be attracted here, and we're having conversations about additional retail space and residential space, we need to do more than, I think anyway, than just saying we're going to bring in some newer technology with construction and we're going to lift things a little bit higher. I think that's a great idea, but I think that's just the start of it. We need to do a lot more than just say we're just going to build a little bit higher.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I don't, maybe everybody knows this, maybe they don't. I don't know. But basically, what happens when we flood downtown? It's not the water like running down the street and going into the buildings. It's coming up from the groundwater. So we all have these perimeter drains. They go into the storm sewers. The storm sewers go into the river, Stevens Branch, and when the Stevens Branch, the level gets so high, the water can't go into the river, so it backs up into the buildings and comes up through the floor. Hence, fish in my basement.
Yeah.
So it's a complicated process. I mean, and the big dig in Barry was great, and we hadn't had a problem since they did it until 2 years ago.
Yeah, and I mean, here we are, springtime and summer right in front of us, and I'm glad that we brought this into our discussion today because it's important. We've got to have this in the forefront of our minds and not just walking around with our fingers crossed.
Yeah, and again, it's a political lightning rod. But,
sure it is.
I mean,
of course.
We have to be good stewards of the environment. We do,
Yeah.
and wildlife. It's important, but people are important too, and people's businesses and livelihoods are important. So there needs to be a little more balance than we've had recently.
Yeah. Let's close out this morning talking about a very important lady who was driving the bus in many departments here in Central Vermont. Your wife, Marcia, she was an outstanding mom, wife, community leader, chair of the Berry City Elementary and Middle School Board, did an awful lot. And there is a foundation that has been set up, marciasfoundation.org, that your kids had a hand in, and maybe a full hand in creating that foundation and that website, at least the website.
Yeah,
they did a great job.
MarciaBFoundation.org. Yep.
Tell me about this foundation. As it says right on the page, that Marcia wholeheartedly believed that having a strong foundation for any child in their life was essential, that those early years, especially like the first 10, 15 years of a kid's life, are so, so important. And it's not just mom and dad's responsibility, but it's the community's responsibility to make sure that that kid is not only okay, but flourishing, doing well.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she was all about.
Oh yeah, she was very selfless and worked tirelessly to improve the community, especially the lives of children, and having been heavily involved in our kids being in school and being on the school board, she saw firsthand a lot of the challenges
That's right.
that people face, and
that not everybody has a mom and a dad.
No, and we're very fortunate that our kids had both their parents there. It's a tough situation. I can remember when she was on the school board, they had a first grader that had a knife, and it's like, my gosh, and when they asked the kid, he said that he was afraid of his mother's boyfriend, and so that's why he had the knife. Yeah, so you hear that, it just rips your heart out, and you realize how fortunate your family is to not be in that situation. But yeah, she was all about helping people that needed a hand and were in tough situations.
I'm gonna show the webpage here on the monitor right now so folks can see it. But tell me about this. This was something that what your kids
the kids
said?
Came up with it right after she died, and we're still raising money. I mean, she wouldn't have wanted us to do a lot of little tiny things. So we're in the process of raising money, trying to build a little bit more significant capital so that it can generate some interest income that we can do things with.
What would you like to do? I mean, I see right here on the screen that she was very passionate about after school and summer programs, keeping kids engaged, not just in the whatever 6 hours or so that they were in school, but that the real important stuff could be after school and during the summer, and that they're not forgotten.
Absolutely. Yeah, the after school stuff was really near and dear to her. And I know my in-laws, her parents, Lime and Linda Amstead, I know they're working with the school on some after-hours programs right now. I don't actually know where that's at right now. It's the St. Monica's playground that the land they acquired, that's going to be named after Marcia, or in her memory. But yeah, we need to raise more money so that we can do more meaningful projects, and that's really what this summer at some point the kids and I need to get together and really focus on how to get that really going.
Yeah. Right now we're asking for donations right on the site, marciabfoundation.org. But anything you guys have going on this summer or this fall, please include me. I would love to help promote this.
Great, thank you.
And get behind this, because this is wonderful. you lost your wife, the mother of your children, and your best friend suddenly. Your life has changed, but you've also been shown a great demonstration of some love, a lot of love from your community, from business leaders, property owners, and folks in our community, and frankly beyond our community, that have supported you and said, "Hey, we got your back." And you've got a lot of friends, and that's huge, John.
Thank you. I do. And the outpouring's been incredible, and people still reaching out. A lot of times you hear people just kind of forget after a couple of weeks. That's really not been the case, and I'm blessed to have a lot of really, really good friends.
Yeah. One of those friends is, and I'm a little disappointed that you didn't bring her here, is Lily. So what's the deal with Lily? What's going on here?
Lily, my 3-year-old lab. Well, she probably would have barked at any dogs that walk by the studio ferociously.
Don't care.
She barks ferociously, but she wags her tail. So
now, Lily is, dare I say, the BCK real estate mascot?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Her residence is right there, just outside the front door, right?
Yeah, she has taken up, much to my chagrin, and it would be Marcia's chagrin, she's taken up residence on the couch, which yeah.
Really?
Which our other dog never even would have thought about doing, but she has taken it over the couch. So
yeah.
But we have a lot of chairs, so if you come in to see me,
when are you going to bring her in here?
I don't know if you're ready for that.
I'm ready for it.
Maybe after I had her after a day at doggy daycare.
Doesn't have to be.
Her out.
No, doesn't have to. I don't care. Bring it. The drool, the slob, everything. I don't care. I love it.
As long as you have dog biscuits to give her, you're her friend.
Yeah. Talk about drool, man.
Yeah, and it's like kills me because we have the windows washed every week, but in the inside, the bottom of the window, the bottom 3 feet, and like her nose is always up against them.
Listen, folks, next time you're walking down North Main Street, have a glance at the window right there in front of right at BCK and see some of the properties for sale. If you're curious about any of them or you have any questions, am I buying, am I selling, what should I do? Just pull that door handle open, walk right in. You're going to be greeted with a smile and
a wag. If you don't have dog biscuits, we will give you some.
And that's exactly right. And you have given me several. I love to lay right down there on the floor with Lily. She's just such a love.
She is.
And just remember this when it comes to BCK real estate, that there literally is not a question that's too dumb. Come in and just ask. You're going to get an honest, straightforward answer. You guys are, and I say this on the air all the time, you're so dialed into the local community. You got great insight of what's happening right here in Central Vermont, and that's what I love. Don't be scared of what you're reading in the national headlines with the market. If you have questions of what's happening right here in your backyard, come in and chat with the team at BCK. Thanks,
Absolutely.
John. All right.
Thank you.
Are we doing an airplane ride this summer or what? What's the deal?
Absolutely. You can arrange that. Sure.
All right. Lily coming with us?
Ooh. I don't know about that.
Okay. I'm in now.
Okay.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very much.
Thank you.
Come in anytime. Bring the kids next time. Bring Lily. All right?
Love to bring the kids.
All right. I hope so. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of you. So you're gonna walk back to the office now?
Yeah.
All right.
Brave the elements.
Yeah. Summer's coming.
Sure.
Great time to sell your home or to buy. Chat with BCK Real Estate. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, bye.